Hi, and welcome to the show. It's Speakers on Edge. We're doing 15 minutes of fame, and I have a rather special guest today. Her name's Alyece. Alyece, who are you?
You know, Jake, I am just a mom. I am a mom who was over it and ready for change and ended up building a business from my pain, turning my pain into passion and my passion into purpose and my purpose into profit. So I am so grateful to be here today.
Hang on a second. You used all the buzzwords there. You went from being a mum. I mean, you're still a mum today, of course, but
right.
You've gone so it was pain to passion, passion to purpose, and then purpose to profit.
Exactly. That is the secret formula.
Okay, now we hear all the gurus saying this all the time, live your passion, make it profitable,
right?
Blah, blah, blah. But what's the reality behind it?
So the reality, a little bit about my story, my son was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder at around 2 years old. And it takes a village to raise a child, okay? It takes a metropolitan city to raise a special needs child. So in corporate, did the 9 to 5, working 45 hours a week, and realized I could not get my son all of the healthcare and the therapies he needed while also being at a desk 9 to 5. So in 2022, I left my job, turning my pain, because it was a painful experience for me to not only learn how to parent a special needs child, but also find the resources and find the therapy options for him. But I took that pain and decided to leave my job in 2022 and start a business. So I turned it into passion. I became passionate about raising awareness on the spectrum, and then also, passionate about making a life for my family that would work. Not having to do the traditional 9 to 5, just because I went to college didn't mean I had to sit behind a desk for someone else, and then turn that into purpose. So through advocating for my son, I finally came out and unmasked my own ADHD, my own neurodivergency, and turned that into my purpose to serve all neurodivergent people. So children on the spectrum, children with ADHD, now business owners with ADHD, and have built my business around that, which obviously makes me profit so that I can feed those kids.
So what you're saying here is that here's your son who is deeply close to your heart. He was diagnosed at age 2. Mm-hmm. And during your process of discovery, you were also diagnosed ADHD.
I was diagnosed as a child or a teenager. As a teenager, but it was very faux pas, I guess you could say. And we did not tell people that, because then they would think we're not hireable. Then they would think we're scattered, we're unfocused, something's wrong with us. And so there's a lot of misconceptions about people with neurodivergency, and especially ADHD. And it appears very different in women. So we're not the hyper-focused little boys who are running all over the place and hyperactive. But I finally decided I'm going to own it, and I'm going to share it with the world, because it doesn't make me unhireable. It's actually a huge benefit and creative and problem-solving tasks if you know how to use it to your advantage.
So what does somebody who has a neurodivergent person around them, be it at work, at school, at home, what do they need to do to understand the needs of that person better? What is the key? What is the foundation that they need?
The foundation, honestly, is acceptance. That, I know that sounds very generalized, but our brains operate different. So neurodivergency covers everything from autism to ADHD, ODD, OCD. It's an entire spectrum. And when you know one neurodivergent person, you know one. Everyone's going to have different symptoms. Everyone's going to have different challenges. So acceptance is the first thing. Realizing that just because it's always been done this way does not mean it has to be done that way. And that's a lot what I work with business owners on in their business. Just because this is how it's always been done doesn't mean it's the correct way for you to be sustainable, profitable, and have balance in life. And I also do that with children. So I have 3 children. My middle child is on the spectrum. My other two children, my youngest and my oldest, are ADHD. So they're also neurodivergent, but different challenges. And so I have to realize all three of my kids are different. All three of my kids have different challenges. All three of my kids' brain process differently. So acceptance is the key, really. And then clarity and being willing to find systems and processes and daily routines that work. And I do the same work with children through our nonprofit, and I do the same work with business owners. It's kind of crazy how it's the same, but obviously a different scale, different level, and different outcomes.
So as you're discovering these different outcomes and this different way of handling these situations, are you finding it triggers things in yourself?
Oh, 1,000%. There's so many times that I now, as I've done a lot of personal development, when you walk into entrepreneurship or jump into it like I did, there's a lot of extra personal development, right? You now are working for yourself. There's no one holding you accountable other than you and maybe a bank or a bill, but for the most part, it's you. And so when I had to start holding myself accountable, I had to really reach out and get mentorship and start doing more personal development journey than anything. And so while doing that, in my beginning of my business, I really started learning a lot more about how my brain operated. And then now as my daughter's growing up, because it does show differently in females than it does in males a lot of times, there are a lot of things I see her do, and it triggers like, man, if someone would have acknowledged or accepted that when I was a child, where could I be now? Or how much guilt would I have saved myself, or spiraling would I have saved myself? And so I see a lot in my parenting of my children that I realized was kind of thrown to the side when I was a child. Not, my parents are absolutely amazing people, but it was a different time and we knew a lot less about it. And then I see a lot in working with other entrepreneurs as well. It triggers me where it's like, man, I was in that same place 3 years ago when I started. And if I would have had someone that was mentoring that understood my brain the way I understand my client's brain, I would have saved myself a lot of money and a lot of trouble for sure.
So was the mentoring the key solution for you? Or what if you're surrounded with somebody who is ADHD, or a family of ADHD, or some sort of neurodivergence?
Yeah.
And how can you discover how to take better care of yourself when, and I mean this in the politest way possible, there's all this chaos around you. You've got all these different personalities. You've got all these different scenarios that are going in all directions. And you're sitting there going, how am I meant to cope within this chaos?
Yeah. So to answer this in the several different levels here, the first step was me accepting myself. And I know, again, it seems like, man, this is, for lack of better words, this sounds like woo-woo, right? We're always told to accept ourselves or be, look in the mirror and love who we see. But that's not always the reality. Unfortunately, we are our own worst critics. And when I was willing to accept, I had to realize I had to accept myself and the way my brain operated and the chaos and the fact that I'll probably never have a sparkling clean car and those types. I had to accept those things if I was going to accept it in my children. And so that was step one, was me. I found clarity through working with mentors, because a lot of times mentors will challenge you to go to the next level. And I very often had to say, what is keeping me from wanting to go to that next level? Or what is keeping me from putting myself out there in my business, or applying to be on TV, or what are these things that we're doing and that I'm holding myself back, and why? And so coming through and learning and accepting myself, but then again, like you said, surrounding yourself, who you surround yourself with will make or break you in business and life. You are, what do they say, a Mod Podge to the 5 closest people to you. And so really surrounding myself with not only other neurodivergent people, so that one, I felt seen and I felt heard, but also people who were knowledgeable on the topic. So there wasn't this level of, why does she do that? Or what, judgment, so to speak. And once I started doing that and I learned how my brain operated, and I one of the biggest superpowers of neurodivergence is research rabbit holes. So I've spent years learning everything I could from the experts about ADHD specifically. And once I realized, okay, this is neurological. This isn't me. I'm not crazy. I stopped the guilt. I stopped the fear of putting myself out there when I understood that's just my brain telling my brain, and I can override that. I can believe in myself. I could put myself out there. And then when I learned that, I could teach that to my children. And so that they don't go through the guilt or the shame that I might have had around that stigma. And then I could teach that to my clients so that they can turn their business profitable and sustainable much faster.
So what you're really saying is through that awareness,
yes,
you're redefining your values, you're redefining what's important to you,
yeah.
and you're letting go of the nonsense.
Yes, exactly.
I've got to quote you here. I'm never going to have a clean car again.
Never. It's never going to happen between me and my kids. It's not happening ever.
You know, when things like that happen that don't actually matter, it puts us back into feeling a little bit more empowered.
Yeah.
So then you can sit back and understand. And because you've done research, you've gone and done your research, you're finding people. I mean, the internet's a fantastic place for finding all sorts of people now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So as you were looking at the different groups and finding, you found your tribe, you found your community, you found your village. And it may or may not have been everybody in the local area, because those people can be all around the world. I mean, right now you're sitting where you are and I'm sitting here in Poland. We're kind of a few thousand Ks apart.
A little bit.
Yeah. But we're able to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Now, for somebody who is watching today, do you have a nugget of advice for them that's a real, true message that matters?
Yes. Yeah. I would say the faster you can accept yourself and show up authentically anywhere in life, online, in person, the faster you can be true to who you really are and drown out the worry of what others may think, the faster you'll actually be happier in life, in business, in your job. And doing that self-discovery is what really matters.
And what was the biggest self-discovery for you besides acceptance? Because we've heard that a lot today.
I know.
And I know, isn't it amazing? This is why I love doing the show, because we end up with a real nugget throughout the whole show. But I want to break that nugget a little bit bigger and make it that little bit bigger and just question you a little bit more. There's something more than just acceptance.
Yeah. Belief. So we very often are looking for validation externally from other people. In school, you're looking for your teacher to tell you a good, great job. You're looking for an A+ to bring home to your parents, for them to tell you great job. When you get into college, you're looking for, that job after you graduate, and you're looking for them to hire you and tell you, great, you're the perfect person. Then once you have the job, you're looking for the boss to give you kudos or tacos or whatever they call it in Microsoft Teams these days. I'm not sure, but you are always looking for validation from other people. And unfortunately, you need to be able to validate yourself and have belief in yourself first if you're going to become the person that you really want those people to see. And if they don't see it, they're not your tribe. We did talk about finding your tribe. You're not for everyone. And you shouldn't want to be for everyone. You should want to be and serve the people that you truly are passionate about, what your purpose is.
And I would hazard to say, or not hazard to say, I would be pleased to say that you're teaching your children to have their own beliefs, to have their own values.
Yes.
And to accept their greatness.
Yeah.
And not to position themselves as, I am broken because I am neurodivergent, because we hear this so often.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
We are not broken because we are a little bit different. We are not broken because the societal norm is this box and we are something more unique and incredible in ourselves.
Yes. It is a zone of genius. When you accept it and you tap into it and you have belief, that is a gift. Absolutely.
The zone of genius.
Mm-hmm.
The zone of genius equals acceptance of your values and your beliefs and discovering you and your tribe.
Love it.
Yeah, me too. This is why I enjoy the show, because we get a message that matters. And today you've given us a message that truly matters. Alyece, how can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, sociallyausome.com. AUSOME is how we spell it here. Or, of course, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you can search socially.awesome just about anywhere, and you'll find me.
That's fantastic. We'll also have you on our Speakers on Edge 15 Minutes of Fame guest page with your photo and a button that links to sociallyawesome.com.
Awesome.
Alyece, you've been an awesome guest. A socially awesome guest.
Yes.
And on that, folks, that's Speakers on Edge, 15 Minutes of Fame. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Alyece. Bye.